Grandma and Grandpa Horn lived in since 1933. They moved in Memorial Day, 1933. And today's date is, Nick, stay with me. Today's date is November 1989. And today we're going to interview Grandma Horn to tell her story. And right down there is where Grandpa did all his work in his shop. He had lathes and all kinds of tools. Spent many an hour in that shop working. This is the house. 848 North Lima Street. In there is the garage where Grandpa worked. Quite a place. Now we're going to walk down the driveway. No, leave it open. And this is where they used to keep their monkeys. Right in this room here. They used to have cages of monkeys right along this wall. Now they just use it for storage. And we'll go out, back out the door, and into the backyard. And Grandma used to have her prize ducks right over there. It used to be a small trough. He used to have mallard ducks. And this is the backyard. This is the garage that Grandpa built. And this here is a picture of the garage. Now kind of barren. Ernie's been cleaning it up. And there's some of the lathes that Grandpa had. All covered up. Spent many an hour out here in the garage. That's Dad's, Grandpa Larson's, Mr. Smith. He's storing it here. But now there's just...
I guess so. I'm
Well,
all ever
we're
be, I guess.
as ready as we get, huh?
I have nothing to look at. Why?
Well, let's see. Today is November the 4th,
4th already?
1989.
That's election day.
How old are you today, Grandma?
That's a terrible question to ask an old lady.
I know. It is.
I'm 82.
82 years old.
February the 24th.
And how long has Grandpa been gone?
3 years. Yeah, 3 years in January, 86. He passed away.
Will you lay down?
So January 17th, 89 was 3 years.
What we'd like to do now is just go back a little bit and you can tell us about where you were born, what you remember about your early childhood, if you could. Just
Okay.
something about your early childhood.
Well, I don't know where I was born. I was in the Children's Home Society at Cincinnati. And my mother and Daddy Shaw went down there to, or Mother and Daddy Shaw, I'll say, went down there to, they used to go there and get young boys to come out and weed the pastures and whatnot in the summertime and along the roadside. And the kids just loved it because it got them away from the home. So they used to fight who was to go the next time. So they, in one of their pilgrimages down there, why, they were thinking about adopting somebody. They thought of that, but when they got there the last time they went down, there wasn't any boys up for adoption. There was just 2 girls with long curly hair and little old scrawny me. And I was just a baby, just a few months old. And they had to decide between the girls with the curls and little old me. And believe it or not, Mother decided on bringing me home. Daddy said, "You want her to die for us?" She said, "Well, she might as well die for us while we're trying to take care of her than to die here when she's not getting the care she should have." So that's how they had to have them a year before you could be adopted. So they just had me a year before I was adopted. And the superintendent would come out and visit every once in a while, see how I was getting along. Well, so they still had their fingers on me. I could have still been taken back any time.
Mm-hmm.
But everything turned out just fine. So they did decide to adopt me.
Now, where did they live?
Well, they lived on the farm between Oxford and Riley, Ohio, which was about 30 miles north of Cincinnati. It was Cincinnati, and then Hamilton was our big town that we always went to. And that was 12 miles from where we lived. And then they lived near the 6 miles from Oxford, which was the college town that everybody knew about. That was a famous college town. I forget the name of the college now. I used to know it. Everybody knows it when they hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't.
Can you describe something a little bit about the farm where you live?
Well, it was a big 300-acre farm.
300 acres.
And it got too much after a while. Dad got to the age where it was hard for him to take care of. Mother too, because she did most of the work.
What did they have on the farm?
And so they bought this little home in Riley.
What did they
It
have
had
on the
20
farm?
acres.
What did they have on the farm?
Oh, a regular farm. It was everything. Cows and horses and
Crops.
threshing machines. And
They
I
raised,
used to have to stand and wave the fan for the threshers when they. Oh gosh,
So
I was,
your
I
mom
was
cooked
about
for
4 or
every
5
all
years old then when that was happening.
Uh-huh. Your mom cooked for all the farm hands then when they
Yeah,
came in.
she had somebody with her. In fact, they always had someone with them.
Uh-huh.
It was a farm was a big place, and they lived in your room. And a lot of the relatives would come and go. And they did go to the home and get this one boy and raised him until he was married and he had a daughter same age as I was. But they didn't adopt him.
that was Homer?
That was Homer, Homer Lancaster. In fact, his family, which I didn't know until just recently, his family lived right near them. They knew where he was and everything. But they never thought to come and get him. That was something else in those days. You didn't let anybody know where they were, because that's what they used to do. They'd let their children be taken out and raised, and then when they got to a nice age where they could help them on the farm, they'd come and get them.
Oh.
So nobody knew where I was for a long, long time.
Did they
'Cause I don't know
barter?
who would want me anyway, but that's the way it was.
Did they barter for most of their goods? Is that how they?
No, it was, Mother used to, she used to stand market around the county courthouse, all around the sidewalk that were around the courthouse in Hamilton. Every Saturday she stood put up her, they'd have her stand put up for her, and in fact they did it for everybody. And you drove in with your produce, what you had, chicken. Mother would always dress her chickens. Of course, she never wanted the dirty cages to go back with. So every Friday when I'd come home from school, there would be chickens all over the farmyard waiting to be plucked. And sometimes I used to hate to come home on Fridays because I knew what was waiting for me. But that's what you did, you know. If something you did it, and that was the way you were raised. You never thought to question anybody about it. You never thought to say, well, I'm not going to do that today. At that time, I would have been down the cellar with my hiney hurting a little bit. But they didn't hesitate in those days to spank you when you needed it, or when they thought you needed it. And
So you were an integral part of the farm.
oh yes, I didn't do much of it. Of course, as a child, I thought I was being abused, but I really wasn't. Now that I look back on it, well, gosh, I was scot-free, really. But
What time
we
did
lived
you?
on a farm. We had our milking machine. What do they call it when they separate the cream from the milk?
Separators.
There was a name for that kind of machine. A few years ago, I would have remembered. And so it was just like a farm, only it was instead of 300 acres, we had 20 acres. 20 acres with 3 cows instead of 300 acres with many
I
cows.
see. So you
So,
sold out part of the farm when you couldn't
yeah.
handle the size of the
So
farm.
No. Mother, did they, you moved from the big farm?
Yeah, down to Riley.
Okay,
Oh.
to the smaller
20
farm.
To the
acre-
smaller farm,
a
okay.
20-acre farm. And I don't know yet how Uncle Elmer, which was Herb's brother, how he got to Riley. But he came, he could tell you that if you really were serious about it. He came up to Riley and he rented our big building we had down in town and made a garage out of it. And he did so well with the Model T Fords and everything else that farmers would bring in for him to work on, that it got more than he could do, so he sent for his brother in Cincinnati to come out and stay with him. So that's how Herb happened to be in Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while that was going on, we were out here in California visiting Uncle Andy, and Uncle Elmer and Auntie Edna lived in our place while we were gone. They lived in the little house. The, what's her name?
That isn't necessary.
Katie,
Gordon?
Katie, who lives in-
McCready?
No, not the McCrady's. Katie,
Catherine Gordon?
Glazier. Catherine Glazier. It was her mother and father that lived in our house while we were gone. And so it was while we were, then they lived in the little house. When we come back from California the first time, then they moved back in the little house and we took over the big house.
Mom, tell us, I mean, you've moved to the small
We
farm.
moved to Riley, yeah.
All right. Now tell us
A little
when
bit
you
about maybe how you.
come to California the first time.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm
I'd really
getting.
like to get a little bit into did you go to school, Grandma, while you were there?
Yeah, of course I had to go.
Could you explain a little bit
Did
about
I
yours?
go to school? No, I'll have to tell you more about that a little later. That's how strict Ohio is. You have to go to school.
Yeah,
I've been out here in California for, I went to California. School's up there until we come down to Los Angeles.
uh-huh.
And we were only going to be here a little while, so I didn't go to school. And that's when I went to work.
But
told
Mother,
my-
we want to go back when you were young and
Young, going to school.
going to
living on the
school in
farm.
Ohio on the farm.
Well, I was trying to tell you the story
You're
about how
jumping-
I'd come back to Ohio and I was only going to be 3 weeks till the end of
But
school.
you're jumping way
But I had
ahead.
to go to school those 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And I hadn't
Okay.
been in school for a whole year.
But you're jumping too far ahead.
Oh, well,
that's okay.
I'll come
How
back
about,
to it.
well, okay, then we'll go,
Now, the farm in Riley was 20 acres and it skirted up on the hill like all the way. I could walk down the whole 20 acres and look, see what everybody was doing in Riley. Because Riley was a one-street little town with houses built all along. And one street was all of a sudden, it come up to our end where we were, and went this way to our house, and went this way up the hill to go on to Indiana. We lived about 2 miles.
now how old were you then when you lived in
Well,
Riley?
I was 8 years old when we moved to Riley, so I had to be 8 to 13. I was 13 when we came to California in 1920.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Born
what
in
was the reason that-
1907 and 13 makes 20.
Okay. What was the reason you came to California?
Well, one of Mother's brothers, she had 9 brothers and the 3 girls. There were 3 sisters. There were 12 in their family. And Uncle Andy was the, well, we called him a gypsy or the bum or whatever, what they call the guys that walked along the roadway in those days, tramps. He was a tramp of the family. He visited every state in the Union except one. He hadn't been to California. So he was home one time and he said to my mother, he called her Jane. He said, Jane, if I go to California, will you come out and visit me? He says, it's time you quit all this work and had some fun in your life. So she told him she would, never thinking he'd ever come to California and buy property or anything like that. Oh, that was the last thing we thought of. Believe it or not, in a few months we heard from him and I had been out here and he liked what he saw up in the northern part of the state, I guess we were about 75 miles north of Sacramento, up in Gridley, in the grape vineyards and whatnot up there. And he had bought a little place. I think he had 10 or 12 acres, something like that. And I had almonds on it. So he took the almond trees out and planted peaches. Because he was they had a McNeil and Libby cannery in Gridley, and they would take all the peaches you could raise for them. So that's what he was doing when we got out there. He had his peaches growing and was doing real well. So we came to visit him. We were there a year, and like I said, I went to school, my first year of high school.
So you came to California to visit your Uncle
Uncle
Andy.
Andy, yeah.
Now, how many were in your family when you came? How?
Just Mother and Daddy and I.
Just Mother and Daddy.
Just the three of us.
And how long did you
All the
stay
rest
while
of
you visited?
all of Mother's family that she had with her first husband, he died when she was just, they'd only been married 3 years. They had their 3 children. That's how. And then he passed away, and then in those days you always went back home, and that's where she was. When Daddy met her, because he was Daddy Shaw, who I call Daddy Shaw, because he was working for her father.
I see.
And how they got together, I'll never know, because there was 2 opposites. Well, they say it takes opposites, I guess. He was the easygoing type, and she was a worker. So they did get together, and he married her, and they then had this farm between Oxford and Hamilton, and hired everybody to help when they need to hire people to come to help. They'd hire them, and then they always had somebody living with them. There was always a couple that was with them. That's where Homer and his wife came in.
Right.
And
okay.
it was just.
What do you remember about your folks most? What do you remember about maybe
Well,
the
they
standard
were
they
just
set?
typical farm family people.
Uh-huh.
Just typical farm people. Although Herb was born in I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about Daddy Shaw. Daddy Shaw he was born in, what's next to Ohio? Missouri. And how he got to Ohio, I don't know, but anyway, they did meet, and he was working for her father, and then they got married, and then they didn't have any children, because he couldn't. I found out later when I got old enough I could know about these things.
Right.
Daddy couldn't have children. So that's the reason they went to the home and kept getting boys out who would take care of him in the summertime farm.
Okay.
So then they decided, or Daddy decided he wanted somebody.
Also, while you lived there, didn't your school teacher live with you for a while?
Who?
Your school teacher, when you were in elementary school, lived with you for a while?
Mother she always had the teachers.
What do you remember about your school? Can you explain it a little bit? The
Well,
building
typical red brick schoolhouse.
and how many kids did they have? Maybe?
I had 12.
12?
12 in the whole school.
12 in the whole school.
No,
And
I
one
got
teacher?
I got a picture of us sitting out on the steps.
And one teacher for the entire
One
school?
teacher,
Teaching all of the ages.
all of the ages. We were all in the same room together.
Yeah.
The little ones sit up front where she could keep her eye on them, and the bigger ones got bigger as they got in the back. Which today would be just the opposite, I'm sure. You want the big ones up front where you could watch them.
So then when you and your parents came to Gridley, you were 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had my 13th birthday out here.
How long were you in California then?
Well, we were with Uncle Andy a whole year, and then we were going to go home. And he said, "Oh, you can't go home. You need to see San Francisco and Los Angeles." So Mother changed her ticket so we could come down this way. And while we were here in Los Angeles, we were here a whole week. And every morning we'd get up and go out and get on a different sightseeing bus. Because the bus took us everywhere. We got to see everything. We weren't about to buy any property, but you didn't think we were. But on this one trip that we went to Santa Monica, the guy that was touring that day, his name was Shaw. So you can imagine how the Shaws got together that day, and before we got back to Los Angeles to our hotel, Mother had promised to buy property out in Santa Monica. So that's what happened. So we got back home, and well, she contracted to build a home. If she'd have just bought the lot and left it, it'd have been fine, but no. He talked her into building it. In fact, they had 10 homes he contracted that day to build. So the guy got the home started and got it up and got the windows in and whatnot, the floors were down, and then he quit. He just skipped the country with the rest. So there were 10 homes waiting to be finished. So Mother said, well, I can't just let that property go to waste, I gotta do something. So we came back out here.
Okay, now before you came back to California though, this is when you met Daddy, when you went back home. Is that right?
No, it was, now wait a minute.
Because now you'd been here for a year and then you
Then
went
we
back
went
to
home.
Ohio.
We were back there when we found out that we had to come back
That's
out.
right.
And that's when Daddy said, oh, I'm not gonna go back
But
out
during
there.
this period of time is when you met Daddy. So
Yeah.
tell us how you met Daddy.
Well, if you insist on how I met your father, he used to walk to work. Like I said, Uncle Elmer got busy in the garage, and he more than he could do, so he sent for his brother. His brother was in Hamilton at that time, or in Cincinnati. They lived in Hamilton first, then they moved to Cincinnati. And he brought him up to work with him. And then he stayed with Uncle Elmer and his brother and his wife, which lived next door to us in our little house. And he had this motorcycle that everybody'd say, oh, here comes the devil, get your kids and chickens in off the street. Every time he'd come roaring through this one street, Riley's one street. And so I used to, he intrigued me because that was something different. I was used to these little tame farm boys, you know. So I kept my eye on him, didn't let him know about it though. You didn't flirt in those days like they do today. You actually walk right up to him today, but not then. So then, like I said, when we finally found out we had to come back, my mother said, we got a perfect good car in that garage. Daddy said, I'm not driving to California. So Herb happened to hear him one time, and he said, well, I'd like to make a trip to California. He said, I got cheated out of one time when I was a little kid. He said, how about me driving you through? Mother Shaw. Well, she thought that was wonderful, because here we'd have our mechanic with us. He was an A1 Ford mechanic. So it worked out just perfect. So away we got ready to come back.
Right, but before that, didn't you and Daddy go to church and do things like
Oh,
that
we had
together?
to. Yeah, my mother made me go to, I had to go to Sunday school. I went to Sunday school as though I was a little kid. And then at nighttime they had the young people. I forget what the name of the group was. And Herb would go with me, because that's the only way he could see me that night, would go with me. So I didn't change his lifestyle any. He never joined church with me, although he didn't fuss about what I did, because he went ahead and we got married, and I got busy again in church work after we got out in the valley, and everything was all right. But
Now, how old were you when you and Daddy were going together, sort of?
well, from 15 on, I guess. I'm trying to think. And you talked about on my sheet there about the first kiss. I said, I can't remember our first kiss.
Oh, I remember what you told me.
What I remember about kissing him when he was asleep on the front porch.
You
He
told
was
me.
sound asleep, and I walked by, and then I walked back, and I leaned over and kissed him on the forehead.
You told me he kissed you out at the gate when you
Well,
come home
that
from.
came later. That was a lot later, I can tell you.
So how old were you when you left to go to California the second time? Do you remember? Or about the year, maybe?
Well, I was trying to think. Well, if I got married when I was 18, it had to be 16.
16?
I was 15 or 16.
15 or
because
16.
we were out here a year and a half. And then we got married and took the folks back home.
Tell us about your trip coming across country. Did you have anything that was different or exciting?
Oh, it just terrible riding in the car. Hot. It was a hot trip. I remember it was in summertime. And
What kind of a car was it? Do you remember?
a Buick 4. An old Buick 4. But Herb knew how to and change tires about, have a blowout about every few miles. We were forever stopping along the road and jacking up the car and putting a new what do they call, tube, putting a new tube in the tire. But, that was our trip out.
So you got married here in California.
Got married in Santa Monica,
And how long after
Well,
when you got here? A year or so? A year and a half?
well, we got married in 25, so we were here 3 years.
3 years.
22, we came back out here in 22. Herb was working for Douglas Company, and then when we took the folks home in 25, he just got a leave of absence. I didn't know that. I thought we were going to stay in Ohio when we got back there. But when we got back there, then his folks were all ready to come to California. His mother and daddy had sold their beautiful home in Cincinnati. Uncle Elmer had sold everything out of his garage. And they had had another car, a bigger car, so they all four could ride in it with all their baggage and whatnot. And they were on their way to California. So we just couldn't stay back there, so we took the train home. Herb and I came back on the train. And it was quite a something to be without my parents after all these years, that I thought, well, I'm a grown-up gal now.
When you were 18.
Years old, I'm an adult, so I had to act like an adult.
Okay.
Now tell us, in 1924 though, before you and Daddy were married, Daddy was working at Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, when we came out here, when you drove us out
And what was
here,
he doing at
Mother
Douglas?
said, well, you'll have to get yourself a job. So we were coming home from Los Angeles one day, and we were coming out Wilshire Boulevard, and Douglas Company was on Wilshire Boulevard at that time. So she said, why don't you stop? We're going to see if you can get a job today. So he always did everything she told him to do. So he stopped, and we waited out in the car, and he was gone for a little while. But when he come out, he had a job. He says, yeah, he says, I can go to work tomorrow. So I'll never forget Mother saying, well, see, I told you you could.
And do you know what he did, Mom?
He worked, I've got pictures, he made the oil and gas tanks. That was his job for the trip around the world. And those planes, the 4 planes that started out to go around the world. He worked on those, the gas and oil tanks, but that's what they were working on when he went to work.
For McDonald Douglas. For Douglas, actually. I guess it was just Douglas.
Excuse me.
Can we go a different direction now a little ways? I'd kind of like to know what you know about Grandpa and his life. Where he might have, was born and raised, and his family.
I wouldn't know about any of that.
Don't know much about
All
that.
I know was he was working for my Mother Shaw's parents. Well, his grandpa. Grandpa Shaw. And it was while he was there that when she lost her first husband and she come home, they always come home in those days with their 2 little children.
I'm curious about Grandpa's family.
Well, that's what
Grandpa
I told you.
Daddy, Mother. Daddy's. Not Grandpa Shaw.
Do you know anything about?
Oh, Grandpa Horn, Grandma and Grandpa Horn lived in Cincinnati. All I ever knew.
Okay.
They never lived anywhere. They lived in Hamilton, and that's where Herb was born.
I
And
see.
then they moved to Cincinnati. And
Okay.
that's where they were when I knew them.
I see.
And I visited them one time. They had
Okay.
a beautiful home down there.
And how many sisters and brothers did he have?
He had 1 sister and 1 brother. As far
He
as I
had more
remember.
than that, Mother. There was.
Huh?
He had more brothers than that because they died. Daddy had. Weren't there 5 in the family?
I can't remember. Well, I just remember he lost his sister, who he loved very much, and he talked about her all the time. I guess he did have a brother. There were 3 of them. You can call Uncle Elmer and ask him. I'm not just sure.
Yeah. Do you know what Grandpa Horn did for a living in Cincinnati?
His
Her-
father?
yes.
I mean, hers father? No, I don't know.
Mother
Didn't he
had
have a grocery store?
Mother, start thinking.
It's all right.
Well,
It's okay.
He had a grocery store.
He had a grocery store. Huh? He had a beautiful home in Cincinnati, huh?
Yeah,
They
nice
were pretty
place.
well to do then? I mean, they
Yeah,
were,
what
for
we
that-
thought,
yeah.
after all, coming from the farm, it
Right.
looked like really something
As
to
far
us.
as
Or
far
to
as-
me, just to me, Mother and Dad, Shaw was never down there. And I went once or twice, as I remember.
was Grandpa a schoolboy? Did he go to school?
Oh, yeah.
He had to go to
He
school.
had to go to school. And he only
Third
went to
grade
about
was
the 5th or 6th grade is all far as
Eighth
he
grade
went.
was, I think, was the last class.
I think it was the 8th grade, I can't remember how far it was.
I think it was the eighth grade.
But he quit school, and that's when his mother said, well, if you're not going to go to school, you got to go to work. So then he worked for several places down there. He worked at the Coney Island, like our beaches are down here, like not Santa Monica, but Ocean Park, I should say, something like that. And worked the Ferris wheel and the slide and whatnot, taking tickets and whatnot.
And the roller coaster.
Yeah, the roller coaster.
Used to walk the.
That was at Coney Island. That was Cincinnati. Yeah. That's what he did when he was a young fellow,
And
until
he
he come
also-
up to be with Elmer.
But he also had an alligator as a
Oh,
pet.
Yeah. The alligator. Yeah. Elmer went to Florida to visit. He used to get around, that guy. And when he come, while he was down there, he mailed this little alligator to her. He was only 12 inches long when he was a baby. Well, when he grew up and it's time to get a home for him, well, he was a big alligator. Till Mother Horn just insisted that something had to be done about that alligator.
Tell us what he used to do with the alligator.
Well, they took him down to the river and let him go. And then it was, a few months later, it was in all the papers where some guy found some kind of an animal in the river, and they called it everything, and Herb just knew it was his alligator.
But before they let it go, he used to take it down there and tease
Oh,
all
he had
the.
always run around on it. It was always on his
He
shoulders.
used to tease the
Everywhere he
girls.
went, yeah. And the guys would say, does he bite? And he said, well, put your finger up there and see. Well, he would bite, and nice long. A couple of times, guys felt for it, and they got a nice long bite out of it. Of course, to do that today, you'd get sued. I didn't think of those things in those days. But that's where the alligator finally got a home down in the river somewhere. I hope he found his way down to where he belonged.
And then of course he ran around with a bunch of guys that were called the Dirty Dozen.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's nothing like what a Dirty Dozen would be out here, I'm sure. They weren't into that kind of stuff. They weren't into violence, they were just into tricks. They were always doing tricks. And your father was a good one for that. He knew all the little tricks he could pull on everybody. He used to tease Bee terribly. Drive her crazy.
And then what did the police think about his motorcycle?
Well, they used to chase him through Hamilton once in a while, but he always outrun them all. And they would swear he was going more than 35 miles
But
an
couldn't
hour,
he
which
ride better?
probably was.
Wouldn't he always end up on the dirt roads and they couldn't handle the dirt roads?
He always outrun them. And well, how he happened to get his motorcycle was, he was always crazy about motors. I'm trying to think whether Elmer had something in on that or not, but anyway, he got himself a Henderson. It had to be something different than what everybody else had. That was your father. He couldn't have a Harley Davidson or something else like everybody else. He had to have so he went, it was either Cleveland or Chicago to pick it up. And that made big history in our little town. I think somebody would go someplace to buy a motorcycle. And then when he brought it home, well, it was the noisiest thing you'd ever hear. You could hear it a mile coming down the road. And those country towns with the hills, no way the sound get out, so it just traveled with him. So He was well known back home, I can tell you. I think they were glad he came to California. Figured the state was bigger out here in Kentucky. But he sold his motorcycle and used the money to come to California. And that's how he got out here with us the first time. And then he got the job at Douglas Company.
Okay,
He
so
had
let's,
some other little jobs in between, but
yeah.
the big one was Douglas, and he stayed
So let's
with
go
there.
from that point. Let's go back, or let's go to where you guys first lived when you were here in California after you were married.
Well, that's after what I'm just telling you now.
Right.
That's coming up.
Okay.
Well, anyway, he worked at Douglas till, I was just thinking, it was after, I don't know why he left Douglas is what I'm trying to think of, but anyway, he started working at Lockheed when Lockheed was just a real one-room affair
But
in
now
Hollywood.
you've jumped too much now, Mom, because we're still in Santa Monica.
Yeah,
We'd like to know where you lived, Grandma, and what kind of house you had, or if you had an apartment, or...
we lived in a little house. And, meanwhile, Daddy was working
Right.
at Douglas Company.
Yeah, after you
Yeah.
dropped your
We
parents
lived
off,
in a
you came
regular
back.
little home, had 2 bedrooms, and he slept in our cot in the living rooms where he slept. And we lived there
But this is after you were married.
Married?
on 16th Street.
No, now you and Daddy are married. You got
No,
married in
We're
19...
not married yet, we didn't get married until
Okay,
25.
Okay. Okay,
So
but
we're
you,
still in 23 and 24,
that's okay.
that's when he worked at Douglas.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where we went that one Sunday to see the planes off around the world. That was all before we got married.
Oh, that was before you got married, okay.
Before we got married,
While you were out here with your folks
yeah.
Yeah,
While we were out
okay. And
here,
he
we were
slept
all
in a
Santa
cot.
Monica,
in Santa Monica on 16th Street.
'cause that's,
Okay.
cause we weren't
Right.
married when he came back, you know, and drove us
Yeah,
out. We
right,
weren't married then,
right.
we were just 2 kids together. He was more like a brother to me than my boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't even thinking of him as a boyfriend in those days. He was just an ornery cuss that I could care less for sometimes.
And during that period of time too, didn't you go to work?
Yeah, mother said, well, if you're not gonna go to school, you gotta get a job. So I worked in a candy shop for a while, and then I finally got this job down at the laundry in Santa Monica, and I worked there for 3 years. I even worked there after I was married for a little while. I think I worked about 3 months after I was married.
Okay, so now we've gone over, now we were at about 28, I believe, 1928, when you
No.
took your folks home?
Then we took the
No,
folks
they
home,
took
no.
they
Took the folks home in,
26.
took the folks home in 25.
Oh, took your folks home in
Yeah,
25?
we got
So
married
then
and
you
took
came
the folks
back.
home. Then we got back over there,
Married
got back home, then his folks were all ready to come to California,
Right.
that's why,
So then you guys all came back to California,
well,
and you came on the
we
train.
came back right away because her job was waiting for him.
Uh-huh,
But Uncle Elmer and Edna and his mother and daddy come back in a car.
I see,
And
okay.
It took them 3 weeks to get back,
Okay, so
or
then,
to get out here, I should say.
But now this is 1925.
25.
okay. Now,
Now, were you married before you took your mother and father back home?
Yeah, we got married in Santa
Okay.
Monica, that's
Okay.
right.
All right.
now we'd like to
In fact,
know,
I was just beginning to show with you.
oh, now Mom comes into the picture.
Oh, she was in the picture then, yeah, before we come back to California.
Okay.
That's the reason every time I get out of the car, Mother said, now, don't you walk too far. She was so afraid something was gonna happen to me.
So where did you live? Did you live back on 16th Street when you came back to California?
Well, we came back to California, no, we stayed at the big home up in Santa Monica, up in the, oh, I can't think of the name of that place.
Palisades. I mean, Pacific Palisades.
Up in the Pacific Palisades on 16th Street, that's right.
That was the house that was being built for her
That
mother.
we had to come
That
back,
they
Oh.
bought.
Okay,
because we
so,
had to come back out
so you
here
got
to have
to,
it
you
finished.
stayed in that house?
So, we lived in it until we found a place in Santa Monica off of 16th Street. And then they finished the place, Mother sold it. And then she bought the property where where we lived on 16th Street. And that's where we lived then for the 3 years that we were out here until we took them, we got married and we took them back home.
Yeah, okay.
And she owned that property quite a while. In fact, Grace, her daughter by her first husband, they bought the property. They thought I owned it, I remember. And they wanted me to see to it that, oh, I don't know what they wanted me to do. I thought, well, I wouldn't do that no matter what. If they want the property, you know, it didn't mean anything to me, because in the meantime, Mother and Daddy had passed away, and it was, I don't know, I guess she willed the property, I can't remember if she willed the property to me or what. But I thought, well, I wouldn't want to be bothered with that. So I just let them take it over. They gave me $100 is what they gave me for the rights. And I just signed the paper and mailed it back to them. And that was the end of Santa Monica's property.
But Mother, where did you live when I was born in 1926?
On Burbank Boulevard.
No, in 1926, I was born in Santa Monica. Where did you and Daddy live
Oh.
in Santa Monica when I was
We
born?
lived on 12th Street.
Okay.
Okay, so you
There
came
were
out,
2 homes on 12th Street. We moved from one to this other one down here. And that's where I was when you were born. And
And I was born in Santa Monica Hospital.
Who was born, Mom?
Julia was born.
she was born in Santa Monica.
Say it.
My name. What is my name? Who was born? Julia.
Julia was born.
yeah. Okay,
In fact, your father names you.
Okay.
I come home one time, and he was writing something. I didn't know what in the world he was doing. And I walked over and I said, what in the world are you doing? He had your Julia down about 12 times. And I said, where did you get that name? He says, oh, I kind of like it. Later, I found out that was the secretary's name that worked for Douglas Company. They only had one secretary in those days. Her name was Julia. So you were you were named after the secretary that worked for Donald Douglas.
so how long now did you stay on 12th Street in that home? And what was
Well, I'm trying to think. We moved from 12th. Well, then in the meantime, then when our property was up, that's when we moved back. We moved on 16th Street. We lived in the little house in the back, and Mother rented the big house in the front. And that's where we were for the 3 years that we lived there.
Uh-huh. And Mom was born, Mom lived there too with you? I mean, that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's, okay.
She's the one that.
And
the
Grandpa
kid-
was still working
Me.
for?
Me.
Yeah, the kid that lived up front was forever going out the back gate and leaving the back gate open, and then she would get out.
She'd sneak out.
And I had a big fight with the wife up front house. I said, if your kid opens that gate one more time, I'm gonna spank her. She'll know she got spanked. I'll never forget that all my life. I was fighting for her. I didn't want anything to happen to her, because, oh, you couldn't catch her. She'd get started. She'd just go. You never knew where she was going.
So how long, now you lived there for a number of years and then,
Oh, let's see. Well, we lived there until Herb was still working at Douglas Company, and then when Douglas, I don't know what happened, but he quit Douglas.
yeah.
That's the part if
wouldn't
I ever
give him a-
remember, I'll,
They wouldn't give him a raise, Mother.
was that what it was? He had asked for a raise and didn't get it, so he quit. That's what it was. And he was going to night school, teaching night school someplace, I don't know where now. And this one young fella come in and he said, no, that was
while he was here.
That's before,
No.
yeah.
I wasn't-
Well, anyway, I don't know how he got started working for Lockheed then. But anyway, he did, and then when Lockheed moved to Burbank, why, we moved over the hill with Lockheed.
And that's when you moved into this house here on 8th?
No,
Oh.
we lived up on Burbank.
Oh, you lived up on Burbank Boulevard.
That's where we lived.
Okay,
And we moved from there to here.
No,
I see.
no, we didn't. We lived on Meyer Street before we moved here. We also lived in Wilmar before we moved here.
Well, that was before.
We went from Santa Monica, I think, um, to Burbank Boulevard. And from
You said
Burbank
no.
Boulevard to Wilmar, from Wilmar back to Burbank to Meyer Street, and Meyer Street to Lima Street.
Well, I knew we lived here, and then we went to Wilmar, and then we moved back.
Right.
okay, that's good. That's fine.
Because
And you
then-
moved in here about 33, is that
And
correct?
then we moved from there to here in 33.
Okay. And
But in the
when was
meantime-
Roberta born?
Roberta was born in December the 2nd. You were born in
26,
26,
30,
32.
32? I'm not,
30.
no. When were you
were
born?
in 29.
Yeah.
You were born in 26, she was born in 29, and Ernie was born in 31.
Okay, so by the time you made it to Lima Street, you had all the kids.
Oh, they were all here, yeah. Yeah, they were all here.
Now, was this house built already, or did you?
Yeah, it was built in, well, I think the card out in the electric box says 27,
27.
because there were only a few houses. You can tell the stucco homes that were built. You can
Uh-huh.
tell. Those are the originals over here. Earl White got this property out here, and he just built a house here and there and all over, and then he had them for sale, and that's how he got his money, I guess, to do what he did later.
How about, can you tell us some stories about Julia and Ernie? Some things that you remember about their childhood that kind of sticks in your mind that
And
happened?
the kids?
Yeah, child stories.
Gosh, I don't know. Gotta turn it off till I get to thinking. Well,
How about the big, didn't
They
they
were
have a
very
big,
fun.
I remember you telling once about a big fort they had that they dug a bunch of holes over here in the lot?
well, that was the lot right next door here,
Yeah.
before this home was built.
2 houses.
2 houses down. Yeah. Like I said, the guy wanted to, real estate man wanted to sell that lot to me one time. And I said, well, you'd have to haul in a whole carload of dirt before I'd ever consider it. I said, you wouldn't dare walk across that lot, you'd fall in. He couldn't understand what I was talking about. I said, well, the kids have got it full of holes. They used to dig holes in it. And they did the same thing next door here before this home was built. They used to play in that lot.
We dug caves.
Yeah, they built caves, believe it or not, and crawl in them. So when I finally discovered what they were doing, it scared me to death. They weren't afraid of anything.
As kids, my sister and I used to crush flowers and make perfume in the summertime and go
Okay.
around the neighbors and sell it.
How about now, we'll get Ernie and,
Well, let's see,
Mom
where
in
were
here.
we now?
well, I'd like them to sit with you now, since they're in the picture. Okay?
Okay,
All
how
right.
do we do that?
Just stay where you are and we'll just come over there.
Well,
Let me just turn this off real quick. Okay, now that Mom and Ernie have arrived on the scene, they're born in the picture, we'd like to maybe have them fill in a little bit about what you guys remember about Grandma and Grandpa's story.
Well, I remember that Mom kind of left out a little bit. It's unloading the car every day. It took 3 weeks to get here, right, Mom?
packing and
20
unpacking
It wasn't 22 that you came out here, right?
in the old Buick.
And there was very little room for them to sit. That's how much stuff they had. It was on the running boards. In those days,
On
they
the
had running boards.
sideboards and everywhere.
Yeah, and that's why they always had
Really?
flats, because it was overloaded and all that.
So it
But
took
can you
us
imagine doing this every day?
Every night and every morning?
Every morning you had to get up early enough to get it all packed up again.
In 3 weeks.
And it had to be neat. Mother wouldn't ride in the car if it wasn't neat. It had to be, because you'd see some of them, and people, their stuff flying out the back, and Mother'd say, boy, they could do better than that. She made remarks.
I often wondered how many gas stations there were back in those
Well,
days.
you had to be sure you,
So Dad always had extra gas cans with him. But
Well,
you know,
they
you
had 'em-
didn't know from here to there, and he says they was kind of on a prayer.
I'll tell you what they did have was a book. One of the automobile clubs put out a book. It had every station listed, every move that you were down here so far and then you turn right or you turn left. It was all mapped out for you. I had to turn the pages, I can remember. A couple of times I missed the,
You were the navigator, Mom.
yeah, I was the navigator. So,
You said you used to camp in campgrounds along the roads, is that correct?
and we wouldn't make more than what?
There used to be a saying for it, but I don't know
What
what
was
it was.
it? If we did 20 miles, we were doing fine.
Could you imagine this?
That's the reason
20
it
miles
took-
in a day.
Yeah, that's what it'd take us, that's the reason it took us 3 weeks to get across, because you couldn't
People
go too
jog
far.
farther than that today.
Yeah.
20 miles, that's just from here to Pasadena, you get there in 20 minutes. Well, the old Buick wouldn't go more than 30 miles an hour, and that was pushing her, I'm telling you.
You remember something too, Ernie, about Grandpa, he left Douglas because he didn't get a raise, and what was he asking for?
He asked for a raise, and they kept putting him off, and then he just finally decided, well, I want this raise, and with 75 cents to $1, and he said no, and that's when he left.
That's when he
And it's a little vague between if he left there and went to Lockheed. I'm not sure about that, but do you remember that, Mom, offhand?
Well, I was just trying to think, it
That's
was
kind of vague. I don't
some
recall.
friend in Hollywood he was talking to, and he said, well, why don't you come and,
That's when Lockheed was in Hollywood.
that's when they were in
Okay.
Hollywood, that's before they came to Burbank.
Right. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So he worked for them, and we must have lived on 12th Street or 16th Street, and we were evidently still living at home in the back house there, because that's the only place I remember we ever lived, besides the 2 little houses before that. And then when he went to work for Lockheed, and when Lockheed moved to Burbank, that's when we moved to Burbank.
That's when you
And
lived
that's
on
Burbank
Burbank Boulevard.
130 North Burbank Boulevard.
And that's when Hermie came in the picture, right?
And I called it South Burbank Boulevard because it was below the,
San Fernando Road.
yes,
Yeah.
Second and Road, and I learned that it was north. So I learned that the hard way.
How about you, Mom? Do you remember anything about the story that you can relay? That maybe she.
No, not much.
How about
but
the housing? You said they came to Burbank.
and I
when
remember the
Lockheed
house.
came?
I remember the house on Burbank Boulevard. I was probably.
Well, you were 3 years old, I think,
I was.
trying to think.
Well, I was younger than that, I think, when they came over here, but I remembered about around when I was around 3 years old. Is when I
Well, that's when
remember.
we moved up on,
And
what was it, the street over here?
Myers.
On Myers
But
Street, yeah.
Hermie Zerold
He
came
could
to
come.
live with us because my dad had given him a job at Lockheed. And I guess he didn't have any place to live
No.
or something, you know.
Yeah.
He was a single man, single, you know.
He was a single fellow,
And,
so he come to stay with us.
And so,
In fact, he had his 21st birthday at our house, I'll never forget that.
and Mother used to, these are stories that they were told. She used to make apple pies, and he really liked her apple pies.
Yeah,
Because she put
they
sugar
were
on
very
them.
good.
Because she put sugar on top of them.
I put sugar on top.
And I remember having Easters there. I remember them, and my Easter basket and stuff would be outside. And they would do it in grass, and they would have all these goodies, candies, and all this good stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that when I was younger.
That was always neat. And I remember having a real little baby buggy there, and,
Mustn't forget your dog.
oh yes, and Victor, my dog.
He was famous everywhere we lived.
We got him when I was there, and he was a descendant of Rin Tin Tin, which was a big movie dog, movie star dog.
Movie dog in those days. In fact, we got
So-
him in Santa Monica.
I don't, I just,
Because our friends in Culver City, what were their names? They're the ones that got us the dog, gave you the dog.
Whitney's,
Yeah, the Whitneys.
the Whitney's.
Mhm. They live next door to us on 16th.
But then from Burbank Boulevard, I think we must have moved then to Wilmar. Now,
Yeah.
Herbie must have been born while we lived on Burbank Boulevard. I don't remember this.
Well, now wait just a minute. And when we moved to Alhambra, the company that Herb was working for moved to Alhambra, and we went with them. We were only there for a while, and they moved back, and that's how we got back here. And it was while we were over there that
Ernie was born.
Herbie was born there too.
Well,
Because
then,
we had to come, we had already
Oh, okay.
moved, but we had to come back to
Back
see
to-
the doctor, and
okay.
the doctor said, well, you just go right to the hospital, so we went right to the hospital here
in
in
Glendale,
Glendale.
okay.
And Herbert was born within an hour or two after that.
In fact, weren't you moving?
We were moving, the day we moved
Right,
to Alhambra.
that's okay.
The day we moved to Alhambra, that's what happened.
That's okay.
And I
That-
remember Daddy
that-
saying, well, wait till I get the
okay.
bed. I was feeling, I was
I
putting
remember
dishes in the
that.
cupboard, and
Remember
going
that
this
now?
way.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I thought, oh my God. So he said, well, wait till I get the bed up, and then you can lie down and feel better. And I said, no, I'll lie down, I'll never get up. I think we better go back to Burbank right now. So here we stopped. And to bring me back to Burbank, and sure enough, got to the doctor's office, and he was just next door taking some woman something. So we didn't have to wait too long for him, and sure enough, he said, well, you just get right to the hospital, young lady. Well, I did, and boy, she was there before.
Okay, and then,
Well,
so
then
we
we-
were there in Wilmar for a couple of years because then Ernie was born in Wilmar.
Yeah.
And they're just
Company.
18 months apart.
And Alhambra used to be called Wilmar.
Yeah,
No,
Wilmar is
Wilmar's a
just
little
right
town like,
next door
Like
to
Noah Park.
Alhambra.
Next door to
Next-
Alhambra.
Yeah. I'm not even sure, it probably isn't even there anymore. They, you know,
Oh.
it's all Alhambra now, but,
Probably
And that's where
Alhambra.
Ernie was born.
and that's where Ernie was
But it was
born.
out near the airport, and that's, it made it good for her, because that's where he worked, was at the airport.
And we lived in a really nice little house, I remember.
Oh,
It
the
had
beautiful home.
grass all the way around and it
And
locked.
glass doorknobs on the doors, I'll never forget that. Boy, was I ritzy with my glass doorknobs.
And lots of clover in the grass because I got stung by a bee. I stepped on a bee and I'll never forget that as long as I lived. Stung me right between the big toe
Oh,
and my
boy,
other
that
toe.
was really something.
And I
Screaming her head off.
Mm,
Yeah,
I can imagine.
that really
Boy,
hurt.
that
I
was
I remember that one.
And we had a big backyard, it was all fenced, and boy.
It's a very nice
It was
place.
fun. And could look out my kitchen window, and Vandy Camp's Bakery was just down about a block and a half, and that big old thing going around. And they have always had it lit up at night, and it was so beautiful. I loved doing my dishes at night, because I could stand there. I missed that when I had to move back.
And you moved back because of Grandpa job change again.
Grandpa's,
Or the company actually moved.
yes, evidently that was all part of Lockheed's moving around because
Yeah.
he was still with Lockheed at that time. We moved back to Burbank. And that's when we moved on Meyer Street, which
We
is
moved on
up
Meyer.
by Turkey Crossing, what was called Turkey Crossing. San Fernando Road,
Well,
and
I forget the street you go down to get to Minor Street. It's one of those streets, we still have it up here, like you forget.
Buena Vista.
No, it wasn't Buena
Chandler.
Vista.
No, but see, it's up, right now, that area now
It
is
was in the
all
1700 block.
Lockheed's
Yeah.
parking lot now. It's all, they tore all those houses out and made it Lockheed.
Anyway, it was near this track out here that, because the day that the dam broke, what was the dam that they just had a picture in the paper the other day?
Over there.
The big dam that broke and
Van
washed
Norman
down all
Dam?
through the valley here. I remember looking out my windows and the workers down at the tracks got the trains got all their stuff ready to go, and then the trains came and picked them up, and away they went. And I thought, where in the world are they going? Because they lived in those boxcars or whatever. Well, that's what they did. They were up there working on taking care of people in the dam when the dam broke.
But then that's
And
when I went to Washington Elementary School, because that was in that area. I had to cross San Fernando Road and go up to Lincoln. I think that's on, Washington School is on Lincoln Street. And so I started kindergarten there, and I went to the first half of the first grade, because in those days they had 1B and 1A. For 6 months you were a 1B, and then 6 months you were a 1A. And I didn't know it until later, but Paul, my husband, also went to the first grade, and we went to the first grade together for 6 months. And then we moved to Lima Street.
And why did you move to Lima Street? Do you remember that? Do you remember why this house? or
Daddy
what?
just wanted a
We
bigger
were
house.
looking for a bigger home,
Bigger home.
Bigger home.
bigger place. And every time he had a little time off, we'd just roam up and down the street. And I just remember we had a terrible time, because I had an easy washer in those days. It had a dryer, electric dryer attached to it. And if I couldn't get the darn washer on the back porch, we couldn't take the place. So that's the reason we had trouble finding a place. In fact, we almost got in this place over here where Bucky lived, Peaches and Bucky. But we couldn't get our washer on the back porch over there. So I remember coming to this place and, oh, it looks so pretty outside, and I thought, gee, I wonder if we can get in, because we never went and got the real estate guy and we'd go with them. We just, if we go around back, we could get in, we'd come in and look it over, and then we'd go to the real estate guy. So we walked in here and I saw this beautiful woodwork. And I said, oh, and honey, the porch is big enough. Because at that time, they had one of these instantaneous
Water heater.
heaters where the thing would go on and move like that, and then heat up to a certain temperature, and then it'd go off, and that's how I kept it going. Of course, it scared the dog to death every time.
Was
Oh,
it
poor
gas?
Victor, he had such a time. Well, anyway, we didn't keep that one very long, because a lady down the street here, she had one like that, and it caught her house on fire. So that's all it took. So I tested her, I said, we gotta have a different water heater. I said, I won't like that one. And we did get a regular kind, and we got a gas kind. And we had gas water heaters right up until this one we got out here now.
What do you remember, Mom, about living here on Lima Street, your childhood?
Well,
Oh,
Some things about Grandpa and Grandma that stuck in your mind. What kind of
Like-
standards they set for you? What
they were strict.
and what?
she got away with murder.
They were strict. They were strict with me. I'm the oldest one, and I had to toe the mark. Then when my sister and brother came along, they weren't quite so strict with them. But
Isn't that the way it is?
yes, normally, yeah.
He was
Uh,
spoiled rotten.
I,
The two girls spoiled him rotten.
I respected my parents and what they wanted done.
Well, they did it in those days.
And
There was no question
you
in
just
those days.
absolutely didn't, you didn't bring any kind of disgrace on them. With, you know,
No, we
with- that
traveled a
was-
lot, and the kids went with us. We never left them
We
home.
did, Daddy worked a lot, so he wasn't around a lot. He came home late at night. We always ate dinner late at night.
The kids were mostly in
But,
bed by the time we get home.
We had a great childhood and great bringing up. I mean, on this block right here, I think at one time there was like 58 kids from Magnolia to Clark.
It wasn't even all the way down the
On
Clark. It
this
was down
one-
to the big house down here.
Just this one block. And in the summertime, we played out till all hours under the lights,
under the light.
playing hide and seek and kick the can.
Neighbors across the street would complain.
And there
All
were
the noise.
peach trees across the street at McGowan's, and we used to climb and get the peaches and get fuzz all over his edge. And,
What about your school? What
we
do you
did all
remember?
kinds of things. And we went to Roosevelt, which is just
We just walked
across.
across the lots. There were vacant lots in those days. They'd hear the bell ring, and then they'd run like the devil to get to school.
And we played in the school grounds a lot. And my mother could yell pretty good. And my dad, if my dad whistled, that meant you better hurry up and get your Fanny home. Because boy, when you heard that whistle, that meant business.
Ain't you
But
big
he
head?
was real good to us. However, you know, as I lived here all my life practically, and when the boyfriends had come over, why they had to come to the door and ring the bell and things like that. I sat right here at this desk one time doing homework.
Yeah, they used to help. She used to do their homework too, I
Oh,
remember.
no, I didn't.
On the telephone.
You know, like we'd talk on the telephone
Yeah.
for hours doing homework with the telephone. No, but this time I had a boyfriend and he had got a brand new car. And he was so excited he wanted to show it off. And he goes, "I'll get the horn." And my dad sits there and he says, "Don't you dare leave that desk. You sit right there." So of course he finally had to come and ring the bell and then I could get out from
How about you, Ernie?
Of course, he proceeded to tell Kirky not to do that.
You bet he did.
Oh, me? Like
You
starting
remember-
when?
Well, your childhood. What earliest memories of Grandpa and Grandma, and what do you remember? Like you did for fun around here. What type of
Monkeys,
things?
don't
and-
forget the monkeys.
Oh, that came later.
Oh,
You know, do you remember something you did with Grandpa that sticks in your mind when you were real young?
No, not really, because Dad was what you
Just-
call a
he worked.
workaholic.
Yeah, he worked quite a bit.
Yeah.
and he was very
And-
careful with his tools in the garage.
And there were so many kids that I didn't really miss that. And no fathers played with their children back in those days.
Well, I remember her making things for the little boy up the street. He was always making something for him. But that, you were still a little too young for that.
I don't know
But,
if
I
it's,
don't remember that either.
He was always doing what, if
Yeah.
anything wanted to be done.
Daddy,
then he-
Daddy made stilts for us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
he was always
he was-
doing something for
And
us.
these
You know,
soapboxes.
numerous things.
Yeah,
Roller
this-
skates.
that
that you
I was
go
too
on.
young to really remember.
yeah, we
but-
had roller skates
she
with
would
the
know.
boxes on them and
Oh,
we,
yeah, we
Oh,
built
that
those.
noise. Oh,
Used to
boy.
go up to
And-
Sumner's or, was the
And we
grocery
had a
store on the
place
corner
called
of
the
Magnolia?
Well, there was a Sumner's
The pumpkin,
The
yeah.
pumpkin, the old pumpkin.
They used to
that
have a
was
big giant pumpkin.
Yeah,
That used to be a hardware store.
hardware.
and
That's where the
then
kids spent most of the money.
4th of July, we'd get to go up there and buy
Fireworks.
fireworks. But then my Daddy was great. See, he was just a big kid himself too, because he would send away to Ohio
Big
for a big box,
Under the bed, I
Special.
remember.
rockets and everything.
special
Under the bed for
fireworks.
months.
6-inch firecrackers. It was like a stick of dynamite when I went off.
Well, I remember the year we opened them up and Herbie threw one of the crazy things and landed on the garage roof out here,
Yeah,
big hole. And
burned the
that's when
whole of
Daddy
it.
was back east, and I had to write and tell him what happened.
And all he was
Got
worried
his-
about was his tools.
Got some of his special tools
And I
rusty.
said, oh,
We
I
didn't
marked
think of opening
everything
the
off very
drawers,
well.
but it all worked out for the best.
But I forgot to open it up to look inside. And these most precious, beautiful little things was in that first tray on top.
Mm.
And there was water in that, and of course the water had evaporated and everything was so rusty.
So actually, getting back to my young
More
life,
fun.
there were so many kids that, you know,
How about school? What do you remember about school?
school, I wasn't too happy about school. I remember kindergarten, Julia's girlfriend, Peaches Alphen, and she had a little sister named Punky.
Bunky, called her Bunky.
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 We started school together, and she said I cried all that day. I don't remember that, but I do remember crying. From that day on, I didn't really care too much about school, and my intelligence shows it. Anyway, as I got into school, it got to be much better. I got into sports and stuff.
Oh, you got acquainted with a guy and they palled around for years together.
What was
What's
his name?
Donald Boucher.
Down.
Now, what kind of
Richard
sports did you?
Krebs.
Yeah,
What kind of
Richard
sports were
Krebs
you
and
involved
Don
with?
Dutcher, those were the
Like
two.
in track.
What were your events?
We played kickball also, but now it's called soccer. You know.
What events did you run in track?
When I was in high school, I was 100,
Oh, he
220,
was good.
and the relay.
He was their star for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Always tried to beat Bobby Heck's record and never did. I think I could have in my senior year.
I remember going around to all these places where he had to Show.
They
Sit
clock-
there and freeze to death like.
They clocked me at 9:09, but it wasn't a legal, but I never did it again after that. That's when they changed the schools. This was
1949.
preschool, or not preschool, but beginning of school, and they had us all out before track season, that is, and they have each class, they run, and they pick, oh, he's pretty good, put him on the track team, or football, or whatever, that's how they do it, you know. And they had the star 440 man that had the record at high school, and I beat him in the 440 race, and they couldn't believe it. You know, the coach come over and he was
Where
trying
you
to
been,
talk. Yeah, and he was, you know, like, whoa. And then Dick Bynum came over and he, pretty good, you know. And I didn't know who this guy was. I had absolutely no idea who he was. I was a sophomore. I didn't know who this guy was. Well, he was a junior at that time. Yeah, he graduated that year. Well, and it all came out, and I'm like, wow. I said, you weren't really running, were you? You know, because when he started running track, he ran much faster than me. In fact, he broke the record 2 or 3 times. But he was our third man on the relay team. Dario was first, I was second, Dick, and then Dick Bynum. Dick Bynum and then Dick. Oh, gosh, I forgot his name. Little short guy could run like crazy. Little legs just looked like pistons going. Well, anyway.
Can you explain a little bit the schools you went to? You went to
I
Roosevelt?
went to Roosevelt. Gosh, when did I start school, Mom?
Well, when you were 6 years old, you stuck, because I didn't send you ahead of time.
Kid-
Most of them
Well,
send
anyway,
their kids when
all
they're
my grammar
5.
schools at Roosevelt, then I went to John Burroughs Junior High School. Then graduated there and went up to Burbank High.
For what grades was the junior high?
Be 40,
I mean, it was
44,
8th grade?
45, 46.
Yeah.
Seventh, eighth, and ninth.
7th, 8th,
Oh,
and
you
9th.
mean the grades?
Yeah.
Oh, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
And then 10th, 11th, and 12th was
Right, in
High
high
school.
school.
high
yeah.
school at Burbank.
Burbank, yeah. And in our senior year, we had the choice of staying at Burbank, only the seniors, no matter where you lived. You had the choice to finish your schooling in Burbank High or go to John Burroughs Junior High School if you lived in the valley or in the area that you had to go. I chose because Coach Boone was going to stay at Burbank High. Roger Ayton and I went in to see the principal, Wainwright. I'm sorry to say that he lied to us, because Coach Boone did not go or stay at Burbank High. He went to John Burroughs. And we both quit the team. After 3 meets, we both won our letter on the first meet, because if you win 3 places, you get 11 points, and that's a letter.
It's a letter.
And we ran 3 other meets after that, and then we didn't go no more.
Disenchanted.
Yeah, we just lost interest. So
What-
they told us we were not going to get our letter, and I said, "You want to bet?" I don't even think Mom knows this. In the office of the coach, I tore it off, 3rd stripe. Just for spite, because, and I told him why. It was never written in the school paper or anything about this, but anyway, I let them know why. And Roger did the same thing. So we finished our schooling with our 3 stripes. I still have the sweater today, that I wish I'd have taken care of it. Moles got a hold of it.
There's a hole here and there.
Yeah, it really makes me
What,
mad.
what about your first car? What kind of car did you have for your first
First
car?
car was a
Oh, boy.
1926 T
Yeah, and it sat out here.
that I paid $10 for.
Jerry,
Had
did
20,
Jerry go in with the?
Believe it or
on
not,
that?
26,000 original miles on it. And when I got it, it needed bands. So we.
What type of T was it?
I guess you would call it a 5-window T. And-
Sedan.
No, coupe.
Oh, it's a coupe.
Yeah,
Okay.
coupe, yeah. In fact, it even had a brake light on it. It was the. I think they changed the. Didn't they go to the Model B? When did they go to the Model? I can't remember.
What one did Herbie have?
She had the Model A.
She's the one that came home with a car one day. Scared
That
us
was a
all
little
to death.
Model A. Yeah. I had one of those too. It was
Oh,
a nice little car.
She
You know, I
had something in her mind.
the T was, well, I could see dollar signs in my eyes if I
Yeah.
had it
Boy,
today.
would you have that today, wouldn't
The
it
only
be
thing we
something?
had to do was put fans on it and put tires on it. That's
Grandpa
what
helped
we
you
did.
do that?
And tires are $15 a piece. I put more money out buying the tires and the fans than I paid for the old touring car. It sat out there, it was rusty or heck, you know. But being a teenage kid, hey, who cared about a rusty looking car as long as it ran, right?
As long as it run, that's all.
And it ran
matters.
real good after we put the fans in. We even pulled the head off it, and Dad checked the cylinders, and they were perfect. There was no ridge or
So
anything.
Grandpa helped you with this project
Yeah.
once in a while.
You
But
didn't
of
think
course,
of
he
it.
knew all about it. He was in his seventh heaven. He wouldn't tell Mom that.
Didn't think of insurance in those days, did we? I don't
No, I
remember kids
don't.
being
I don't think
insured.
they had car.
Well, they might have had.
I
I
don't
know.
remember
We never
insurance.
thought about insurance in those
No.
days.
How about you, Mom? What was your first car?
I never had a car.
Never had
had
I was the oldest child and I didn't get things like automobiles.
No, Herbie
Well,
was the one.
Julia,
My
wait a minute.
my
I
sister-
bought mine.
I know that.
Okay.
And my sister did too, but I didn't have the guts to do anything like that. So.
Can you
But my
can you
sister
believe
came
that?
She just came home with one. the other day.
No.
My sister came home one day with a car and said, I bought a car.
Parked it out
That's
there.
when she was working at.
When she was working for the egg factory, I think, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think she was.
She was kenneling with the car.
Handling eggs,
Handling
yeah.
eggs.
Over here on.
Checking to see if they were male or female, or
I get, well, if there's
They
anything in
look
it.
through a light.
Yeah.
Look through a light down.
See if they're
Oh,
That
if
was
it's
in North Hollywood, she worked
yeah, if
there.
it has a red spot in it, it means it's
starting.
Fertile or something.
yeah, and you can't sell that.
So you can't sell that.
But anyway, she was the first one to come home with a car. But no, I really,
She
I didn't even
go that way.
think of getting a car. However, I did want to learn to drive, and of course, I had a boyfriend, so
Her boyfriend taught her
he
how to
taught me
drive.
how to drive.
She didn't need a car.
I didn't need a car.
She had a
no.
bunch of boyfriends that had cars.
See, when I went to, when I was in junior high school is when I started going with Corky.
That was our daughter.
and
he
how
was-
old were you?
I was probably, let's see, in junior high, you're 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I was probably 12 years old when I started going with him, 11 years old, something like that. You know, boyfriend. Because he used to
He
come
was
down,
here all the time.
down on the street. He was one of the kids on the street. He didn't live here. He lived up on Brighton, but he was down here all the time. And
there were so
so
many
he was
kids.
4 years
Yeah.
ahead of me, see. So he was already in high school. And so that's when he got a car. And that was before the war. And so during that period of time, too, is when Mother and Daddy bought the cabin at Arrowhead.
And 40 before the war.
It was before the war, and the war
Amen.
was in 41, is when the war broke out,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So it had to be around 40 when they bought the cabin.
July or August, something like that.
And
Well,
Corky's
I didn't
parents had a cabin at Arrowhead and had invited us all up to come up sometime. So we went up, and that's when Mother and Daddy were looking around and they found this cabin. that
His
was-
father and they
was
was
real.
going up and down looking at cabins and found this beautiful place.
Was a real nice.
Oh, boy.
It was actually a home because the people built this home to live and lived in it. But when they moved, they built another one then down the road a little
They
ways.
wanted a bigger place is what they
And
wanted.
when they put it on the market to sell, why nobody really wanted it or looked at it because it was built over their cesspool. And everybody
Supposedly.
thought, gee whiz, why would you do that? Well, anyway, when we went and looked at it, why, we found that the cesspool was actually in the garage. It was a
out on the
two-story.
street. It was out in the roadway out there.
It was actually
No, Mom,
in
it's
the
little
garage.
cubby
Well, I guess
garage,
it
yeah.
It was in the
Yeah,
garage.
close
But anyway,
Underneath where the bathroom.
it was all right.
Tools.
And so Mother and Daddy really liked it because he always loved the mountains. In fact, when we were kids growing up, we took a trip
Go every
to,
summer,
to
someplace.
Yosemite, and my sister and I got to stay in a cabin by ourselves, and Ernie had to stay with Mother and Daddy. I remember we thought we were such big shots because we got a cabin by ourselves. And at
You
that
took a
time
trip
they
every
had
year.
the fire falls up there where they pushed the
That was
coals
beautiful.
over these big rocks, and it was
But they
really
don't do
beautiful.
no more.
Yeah, that
And
was the
then,
highlight every year.
One year,
Every night they'd have the firewalls.
and then one year we, oh, and I just remember being up there in the water so cold, when we would go, you know, wading in the rivers. It was really cold. One year we went to San Francisco to the World's Fair. I think that was in 1937, if I'm not mistaken. We got to stay in a hotel, and that was really exciting.
Or 30
Yeah, what you did.
And yeah, we climbed out on the fire escape.
Tried to get to our window to knock on it to let
Well,
us know
we
the
went
door
down-
was locked. They couldn't get back in the
We
room.
Mother and Daddy fell asleep.
We
'cause
were
they-
sleeping.
So we decided there was something down the car we wanted. And the car was parked downstairs out in the parking lot, so I went down there to get whatever was in the car, and the door was locked. We couldn't get back in the room. So I guess we climbed up on the fire escape or
Oh,
something.
and I
don't
looked out
know.
that window and saw where those kids.
But anyway,
Oh,
we had a good time. That was the first time I saw television too, was at the World's Fair.
yeah.
But
Was that
anyway,
37 or
it
38?
was 37 and 38, somewhere around in there. So, but my dad really liked the mountains, and so he really wanted this cabin. So he asked one of his bosses if he would loan him $1,000 because that's how much the cabin was. And so anyway, we bought the cabin. So after we got the cabin, every weekend meant a trip to the cabin.
Well, the money came from
And so
the
anyway, during that period of time, Corky had gotten his car, and then I'd get to drive once in a while on the way up to the cabin without my folks knowing about it. Except one time they caught us because we went by them or they went by us, I don't remember, and I was driving the car.
We went by you.
Is that what it was? Anyway, I went, oh my gosh.
I remember that.
I got caught. But anyhow, then once in a while I'd get to drive the family car. My mother would let me go to the grocery store, or I'd go up to Kenny's or something like that, you know, and it was a real big deal to get to drive the car. That was a big shot. So I really didn't need a car.
Ernie, do you remember anything about the cabin?
Oh,
A
yeah.
story?
That was my seventh heaven. Oh, yeah, I love the cabin. In fact,
Roberta loved
Frank
the cabin.
Weigel that built the
She's
cabin,
the one that enjoyed the cabin.
he himself built it, and even all the rock work and everything, he went up in the hills and got it and cracked it,
It was
broke
a home. It
whatever
really
you want
was
to
a
call
home.
it.
It wasn't a cabin.
It was just magnificent.
Well,
And
it was
we
finished
just
inside
played all
just
the
like
time.
this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why was it special for you? Why did you love it so much?
Well, because it was in the mountains, you know, I guess most boys.
And had lizards running all around.
And lizards and
It was
you'd
just
take his
exciting.
friends up.
We'd walk down to the lake. Yeah, we'd walk everywhere. I mean, I don't think there's a place we didn't go up to or
You know, and I think what they used to tell me they did, it would scare me to death.
build tree houses. Like a tree out in front of the house, well, that's where the front door is. It had been hit by a lightning at one time because it took the tree and just knocked the top off it. And it was all just shattered, but then how Mother Nature tries to heal it, you know. And it made a perfect tree house. And that platform is still there because nobody else knows about it. The one that going up to it, that was all kind of rotted away. But as you got older, you didn't do things like that. You took your girlfriend, things like that. You didn't do it.
Every weekend there was somebody up there with their.
Took buddies up there. Took the Jokers of Burbank up there, and we
Yeah.
helped Grandpa paint the cabin one time.
First snow, I'll never forget.
What are the
first
Jokers
snow.
of Burbank?
What was that?
What are the Jokers of Burbank? What do you?
A bunch of guys went to school with, and they got a car club together.
Okay.
And we're in Burbank on parade a couple times. Had parties.
Too bad you're not together now. You could be on in our Burbank on parade.
I don't
They're
know how
asking
many
for
of them are
people.
left that just went to the funeral of Bud Dissing or remember him?
I remember the name.
Yeah, he used to lay floors.
Floyd,
Yeah,
yeah.
he passed
In fact,
away.
he laid our bed on the kitchen floor.
Yeah, he did, that's right. Yeah, and he one happy-go-lucky guy, you know. He had an old 1929 roadster, and Tom Burnell had one too. Well, actually, Tom and Roger went together on the Project Reagan. Tom Bernal, then later came my brother-in-law, that married his youngest sister, Danita.
Grandma, in relationship to that, what do you remember about the courtships of Mom and Ernie? Do you remember anything special that might have happened during their courtships and
Oh.
the days leading up to their wedding day? And
I remember Paul coming over and parking out front, and I got to where he had to come to the door and ring the doorbell and get her. And my one kids used to just run out and get in the car and away they'd go. I was bound to determine my children weren't going to be like that.
Well, let's back up, Mom. Let's start at the beginning of Paul coming over here. What did he come over here in, or on?
Well, he was driving, well, I remember he was driving the family car, their car.
No, Mama, back up.
Oh, the horse. Oh.
How could you forget that beautiful horse, Mama?
In the meantime,
All I know about the horse was he would tie him out there to the tree, and the tree was little in those days. And
it was
then
a different kind of a tree.
She worried about pulling the thing over.
And then, of course, you know what a horse does. Had the land all dug up out there. Oh, I used to
We
get
ain't
so
having
mad.
grass
Well,
anyway.
besides, in the meantime, when I got to high school, the war came along in '41, and so all the time I was in high school, there were blackouts, and we couldn't have dances at night or anything like that. We had to do everything in the afternoon. So we had all our school dances were at noon time, and so I had been going with Corky, and he had gone to service. He was called into service. So we made a pact that, you know, I could go out and he could go out, and
I remember
you
him
know,
telling me that. He said,
because
"I wasn't
after
gonna
all,
tie
I was in high
Julie
school.
down."
So that's when I met your Paul, my husband, and I didn't have class the first year. I didn't have any classes with him, but the second year is when I had classes with him. But I knew a lot of his friends, and I knew who he was around school. And so I really got acquainted with him in 11th grade, because we had what we called a social living class together, which was a 2-hour class. And I found out he had a horse, and I really liked horses at that time. I thought horses were neat. So I kind of talked him into bringing his horse over someday, you know. And in those days, our street was paved up to Chandler, but Chandler was not paved. And the streets above Chandler, most of them were not paved in those days. Very few. In fact, where he lived on Catalina,
They weren't, were they?
that was not paved.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I would listen for the horse to come. And so he did. He came, I don't think he brought the horse more than 3 or 4 times down here, because he didn't really like, and then we would go riding on a horse. I'd get behind him and we'd ride around, you know. But he was embarrassed if the horse did anything. He'd get the hose and have to, you know, and he was very quiet and kind of embarrassing type.
You were the most unassuming man I ever met.
So then he bought
That's the reality.
he bought a 32 Ford, a 3-window 32, and he used to pick me up and take me to school. And then Mark Wolf, who had a roadster, would also pick us up. So
dazzled you with his footwork. Well, what do you remember, Grandma?
Well, they were pretty good. After I scolded them a couple of times, sitting out there.
now my sister's the one that had the boyfriend.
Oh, boy.
She had
Yeah, we're
boyfriends.
kind of leaving Herbie out of
She,
here. It's a darn shame.
She's the one
We
that
used to go to the roller derby down in
every
Hollywood.
Friday night she went to the roller derby.
Come to the bus out here on Hollywood Way, and away they go.
And every Friday night, my mother would get a telephone call to come and pick her up, and she never knew who she was going to have with her. Because she always was picking up
Be 1 or 4.
sailors, Marines,
Oh, we had everything.
because this was, again, you know, during the war, and the kids were on, you know,
She
and
was
they'd
doing
have
her
leave,
thing.
and she'd bring them home, and they'd stay then till Sunday, then they'd take off, because they'd have to get back to
Well,
shift or
tell them how
whatever.
they take off. I take them over the hill to catch the
Well,
bus
yeah,
or
or a
whatever.
streetcar, we'd take them up to Glen
Yeah.
Oaks, catch a streetcar to get into LA, and where, wherever they would have to be stationed.
And that was the day, that was when it was gas rationing. Just happened that their father worked for a aircraft company, so we had a C card.
So
And we
you
could
could
get as
get
much
on
gas
it,
as we
yeah.
needed.
Now,
That's how we got away with it.
and we kind of lucked out too, because Daddy, he quit working at Lockheed. Got mad, I guess, and quit. And then he went to work down in Glendale for a company, and I don't know what the name of the company was that was down at Grand Central Airport at that time. And he worked there for a short period of time, and then he quit there and went to work for Hughes.
Well, it was while he was working there that,
They approached him
he
for
approached
Hughes.
this,
And he
No,
didn't,
no.
he,
that's when Hermie
I think
approached
so.
him and said,
No.
I have a, well, it was somebody that,
Daddy came walking out with his tools, and you said, oh my God, he quit his job again. And then he went looking for a job, and one of the jobs he got, or he asked about, was for Hughes. And he came home and told you that it was going to be just
just for
Part
3
time.
months.
a short period of
For
time.
3 months, he
For
was
3
to build the
months.
gas
He
and
was
oil
to build
tanks.
the
Yeah,
gas
your mom
tanks.
said
Little racer.
he walked back and
racers,
forth
they-
in the room. He didn't know if he should go work for a Playboy or go
Because
get a regular job.
He would
But
make
the money was doubled, wasn't
he
it?
would make as much money, he'd
Working
make
those
more
3
money in
months.
3 months than he would if he went and got a regular job. So he ended up deciding to take the job for Hughes and ended up working for him for 22 years. So,
Yeah, it went from the little racer to the trip around the world, and then from then on it was the,
and he was in Burbank, stationed at Burbank, and went to New York with them.
back there while they were getting the Sikorsky built, he was gonna fly a Sikorsky, because he figured it was
Gonna fly that around the world, and then that
fly
was,
that around the world, but
Too
as they
slow.
finished it, and they were flying it back here, it was too slow. Howard said, I'll never make any records of that. So it's still parked somewhere, and, so he bought himself a Lockheed, and then the boys had to work to redo the Lockheed the way he wanted it, took everything out of it and put back in what he wanted. And, before he finally made the flight.
and then they moved from Lockheed to Culver City.
Yeah, then he come back, and that's when he decided he would make a company out of it. So he enlarged it, and he had to, so he found this place down in Culver City and built the first small buildings, and then they kept adding to it till it's a great big thing now. I don't know if it's,
And they, that's when they started building the big boat.
the big boat.
the
That's
flying-
when they built the
flying
big boat.
And we decided to stay in Burbank. I was a senior at that time when they moved down there. And Daddy looked at property down there, and there was a
Oh, it was
discussion of
terrible.
moving into Culver City. And
Or
we went down
Inglewood.
and looked,
We even looked
or
at
in
Inglewood.
Inglewood, and I threw a fit. I said I did not want to go my last year of school,
Yeah.
like somewhere that I didn't know, and Herbie had a fit, and I think Ernie even had a few things to say. So, anyway, Daddy decided he would stay, and he drove all the time. And I think he was the only one that stayed in Burbank and the only one that stayed with Hughes. Everybody that moved down to Inglewood or Culver City eventually left the company. I mean, they didn't stay more than maybe 2, 3, 5 years, and they were gone. And it was rather ironic. But anyway, and we got to go down and walk the wings of the big
Oh,
boat,
we sure did.
and we got to see it fly. We were out
And
in
we were out in a little boat,
a boat
right off over here,
watching.
watching it take, we didn't know it was gonna take off.
It did.
Nobody knew it was gonna take off, we were just supposed to taxi it. But it took off, things were feeling just right, so I let it go. So we got a picture of it. It wasn't supposed to do anything more than what it's doing there.
And Grandpa got salt shakers out of the spruce from it, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Uncle
Uncle Paul,
Paul.
who was a shirt-tailed relative, worked at Hughes.
Yeah, he worked.
And was a woodworker, and he took all the scrap pieces of wood home with him, and then he did all kinds of things. He made
salt and
salt and
peppers.
peppers, and he made trays, he made bowls, and he did all kinds of things.
Quite a craftsman.
I think I've given them all away. I don't know if I have anything left now or not.
Well, Grandma, what do you remember now? We'll take a next step here, and we'll go into your grandbabies. What was your feeling when you first found out that Herberta had Karen?
Well, I was thrilling.
How many do you have today?
Well, we had, what, 10 grandbabies, and we've got 19 great-grands. The 19th one's coming up. I don't think the 19th one's here yet. It'll be here pretty soon. This is what? This is November.
Yeah.
She's due pretty soon.
You're right, 26, November 26.
Is that gonna be 19?
Yeah, well, oh, where's my, I got my tab. Give me my slip over
I
there.
can't think of them all either.
This?
No, dear. The paper behind, just there, there's a little paper
This?
there with all the names on it. That one,
I don't know which one it is.
Can you run through, is that a list of all of them?
Got my glasses
Why don't you
over
let
there.
Judy read them
Only I can read.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Where's
Nobody
your
else
glasses?
is no
Oh,
one.
Karen,
up?
oh,
Okay,
Nick's getting the glasses.
Well, I've got it marked and remarked.
Thanks, Nick. I didn't realize it was 19.
Now, let's see here.
Guess so.
Well,
I've
let's
got
see, Karen
16.
was first. You were second, Dana. Diana was third.
Read them off, Mother.
Or was
I
it
thought
Craig?
I had them all down here.
You do. You got them listed.
Well, I thought I had them in order, but.
No, you've got them mixed up.
Okay, our great-grands, that's what you wanted to know, wasn't it?
No, first the grandkids.
Grandkids.
That's the first ones.
Well, the grandkids are.
Craig.
No, first there's, the grandkids for Herberta's
Right.
had Karen, Craig, Elaine, and Danny, okay?
Right.
And then I had Dana, Diana, and Julianne. And then Ernie had Vicky, Lisa, and Kirk.
Okay.
Okay, those are the grandkids.
And then your great grandbabies there.
Now the great-grandkids. Can you name those all off?
Well, there's Jason and Luke.
They belong to Craig.
They go on to Craig with his first one. Then there's Adam, Christina, Kimberly.
And the new baby,
Justin.
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 They're Karen's
Karen's.
children.
Karen and Frank Guidi.
Right, Karen.
Karen and Frank Weedy, right.
And then there was Tori Mae,
And Terrell
and then Terrell's way down here.
belongs to Diana
And
and
Tom.
Tom Long.
And then comes Dana and Lorraine. And they've got Nicholas Paul and Jenna Michelle.
And one on the way.
And one on the way. Well, I haven't got that one down here. And then Craig again with his second wife has got Michelle Lynn. So he's got 3. And then Chris and Lisa, which is your daughter, has got Ryan and Christopher. That's the one. That is one. Ryan Christopher is his name. Yeah.
And Sean. Patrick.
And Sean, they have
Well, they're
2.
down
McGill,
here,
right?
Shannon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's down here. And then there's Suzanne Jean, that belongs to Elaine and John Barber.
And they have a new baby.
Oh, no, just got. Sorry, don't know the name.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Chad Christopher?
No,
No.
it's a girl. It's another girl.
What are we talking about now?
Elaine.
Elaine's daughter.
Elaine's new baby.
Do you remember what her name is, Lorraine?
Stacy Ann.
Stacy, that's
Stacy
right.
Ann.
Stacy Ann. I
Leave it to
have-
Grandma, she would
Stacy
know.
Ann.
She's got 2
Well,
girls.
I don't know it all right
You're
off.
doing
I have to
fine.
think
That's
about it.
very good, Mom.
And then there's Vicky. It's got Erica Marie. And Lisa's got Sean
Oh,
Patrick.
you already said that one. And
Oh.
we've got this one down here.
and
Okay.
Justice. Okay,
So
Yeah,
that's,
Kirk,
and then Kirk's got
Kirk and Tabitha,
yeah, that's up here.
Chad.
Chad Christopher.
Right.
Kirk.
That should be it.
Well, I got 16 great grands.
All right, then
Got it right
Lorraine,
here.
17, well,
Well, wait a minute.
then that would be 17,
Stacy Ann was the 17th great grand.
okay.
And hers is gonna be the
And
18th.
then Kirk's is 18 and hers is 19. You didn't count Kirk. You said you weren't gonna count him until he was.
That's right. We're gonna count his until it was legal.
Mm.
So it is 19. I didn't realize it was that many. So,
It's pretty good, Mom.
Yeah,
19.
Out of that, of course, that's out of 8 grandchildren, because 2 of them aren't married yet. Danny and Julianne.
Julianne's married.
Well, what I mean, they haven't started their family.
Family.
No family.
No family
And,
yet.
and Danny doesn't have any family. Right.
Danny and Julianne.
Okay, have we covered just about everything?
Yeah, I think so. Just a few other, Grandma, now that you've looked back on your wisdom of 82 years, what
Well,
what would
then
you like, what advice would you like to give future generations?
We'll live each day to the best of your ability, because that's all you've got, is that day. Because as you grow older, then they'll mean so much more to you. You'll have more beautiful memories. That's all I can think of. Because as a little girl that wasn't expected to live, to live to be a year old, I think I did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, you know, being in a home and being finally taken from the home and given a good home and raised strict, but that's the way they did it in those days. They didn't know any different. Which set
Wasn't
it up
too bad
good
though,
for
was
me.
it?
Nope.
And I had a wonderful daddy, foster daddy, that I thought was just marvelous, because he never spanked me once. I thought he was the best guy in the world. Mother did all the spanking that I needed. But
He even let her go out in the barn with him when she wasn't allowed to be
I
out
wasn't
there.
supposed to go in the barn where there were men, but I went this one time because there were several men out there and they were all talking. And I thought I was safe with my daddy there, you know. I even had a picture taken. If they hadn't taken the picture, Mother wouldn't have known about it. But there I was, right out front there, sitting down, and all these men. So that Oliver Bailey and his camera
Got you in
was my
trouble.
undoing.
What do you think Grandpa would like to say if he was here today?
Oh, boy.
Can you relay maybe?
He had a very, very, very life, I can tell you.
How about
There wasn't
Ernie or
anything he
Mom?
didn't
Did
do,
you?
because he likes to travel, and that's how he broke away and got brave enough to say that he would leave his mother and father and come out, drive us out here to California, which was really something in those days, to do something like that. But he was safe because he was with another family, and we took him in, and like I said, he was more like a brother to me than a boyfriend. He didn't get to be the boyfriend for a couple, 3 years later. Then we got serious, and then we got the idea.
But like his philosophy in life. What would you say Grandpa's philosophy in life would be?
Oh, golly.
Do you have any?
I would say the same what she said.
He just,
I think he just believed being a good person,
he didn't believe.
and he was a very church person originally. When he was growing up, he had to go to church. He was Lutheran, raised Lutheran, and when he got older, he felt there was a lot of how do you say that?
Hypocrisy.
A lot of
Hypocrites.
hypocrites.
Okay, hypocrites.
Yeah.
And
In church.
in the church, and he felt that by living a good life, that he was every bit as good a Christian as anybody else, and he kind of raised us kids that way, you know. that you do what you're supposed to do, and you do the right thing. You've got to know right from wrong, and that's the way he was. And when you crossed that line, he let you know about it,
Let you know.
and he took.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. You know, he burned us one time. He didn't burn me, because I didn't like the matches. But Herbie and Ernie played with matches, and they knew better because he had told them. And so he lit a match and he burned them.
You let them know it
He let
hurt.
them know why he had those rules. So
And we never played with them again.
Yeah, you know.
and I think that was his philosophy, was to, you know, you do
And tremendous ethic.
right.
He
Right.
was a
And
hard
what
worker.
you do right. And what, you know, he took a lot of pride.
He wasn't one of those fathers that beat up on his kids like some of the daddies would. He never
No,
touched
he
them.
didn't do that. But I mean, he had rules and he had boundaries, and you stuck to them, and you didn't vary. And
They knew better than to.
we knew where they were, and we knew how to go about it. You know. Now, Mother, she was
I
she
was
was a
forever
little,
whacking them.
she was whacking us.
Well, and mothers do
you know,
that.
with the little strap and all that good
Don't
stuff.
they, Mother?
And of course, you know, we didn't even mention how involved Mother was in the community, how very involved she was.
Oh, PTA,
Through
PTA
life. She was a
president,
very,
Woman of the Year,
but to begin with, she was a very,
Women's Club.
very quiet and very unassuming, and so she got involved in PTA by
Yeah,
sewing
PTA.
because
By
she-
my father,
she
telling
could sew.
her to do something. Like, I think it started as being a class mother, is that what they call them?
Well, she had a sewing machine, and she could take her sewing machine to Roosevelt and help them sew. And that's how
That's
it
where it all
started.
That's how it started.
And so from PTA, and then being president at 2 of the high schools, and,
I wasn't president until I got to Burroughs. I was president there one year.
and then
on
Burbank High.
I was president up there for 2 years, and that
And,
started all my presidency.
And she was president of the Women's Club, and she, like Ernie said.
Women's Council
she
was first 2
Women's
years.
Council. She was president of Church Women
Club.
United,
Quite a,
Church Women United for 2 years.
and then Woman of the Year, was honored as Woman of the Year. So,
something to be really
and
proud
she
of.
was press chairman of every organization, I think, in Burbank, from the
Well, as soon
from
as I joined, I had to be press chairman.
Red Cross to
Red Cross and-
Oh, and also the photographer.
whatever,
Oh, yeah, my famous camera.
every organization.
God bless the camera.
Grandma, out of all those organizations and all the things that you've done for the community, what have you gained the most reward from that? Can you think of something that you
Oh,
felt that
just being recognized.
Pleasure.
just the
Everywhere I
recognition?
went, it would get spoken to. You know, they all knew who I was. And they come up and speak to me, and then I speak, you know, and then I feel, oh, it's from so-and-so. And that's how, that's
Well, I
the
think
part
I
was
think
so
she
nice,
grew.
because for so many, many years, nobody ever said anything to me. I was just the worker behind the scenes, in the kitchen all the time. And finally, I just got out of the kitchen. And
but
Mrs.
it's-
Straley told me, she says, when are you gonna get out of the kitchen, May? I says, are you kidding? I'll never get out of the kitchen. Well, in those days, to think I would be out in front talking to somebody? Huh. She really
grew.
started me.
She grew.
Yeah, I
It's
grew.
it's a wonderful leadership training.
I learned, first time I talked in the mic up at Burroughs, oh gosh, I wish I could hear that again. It must have been terrible, because I felt terrible. And there was Dr. Merrill sitting right in front of me, and he just got done talking, and I was supposed to get up and say something. Well, I'll never
And then
forget
Julia
that.
followed in her footsteps.
So I'm having a beautiful time watching her, trying to keep her down. I keep saying,
Well, she used to take me along. She used to get me involved in all kinds of seminars that the PTA was having that had anything to do with family.
then when she got into
family
PTA,
living.
then she'd invite me, and I'd have to go.
But it's a wonderful way of meeting people, and you really get some wonderful,
Well,
you have some wonderful friendships made from
we
all
must
that.
remember too that Burbank was a young town in those days, young city, and we were growing, and it was easier to do then than it is now. It must be terrible to try to do something now with, well, everybody telling you how to do it and how you're supposed to do it, and And a lot of those people don't know as much about it as what you might know. But in those days, we were all working together.
Okay.
Wonderful times.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll conclude this with how about each of you giving a closing thought or comment. Okay,
Oh
just
boy.
Oh, boy.
I'll give you a second to think
Well,
and just come up with.
it's been a wonderful life
Yeah.
because we've lived in the one house
I've
for
lived-
so long.
My mother and father are about the greatest mother and father they would ever want.
That's right. I'll second that.
You second that, huh?
And I
Well, I don't know. It seemed to me like we
feel that I
could
grew
have
up
done more.
in a wonderful neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah.
Had a lot of nice friends. Unfortunately, they've all
Disappeared.
They've
They
all
do.
moved away.
went their own ways.
They do after a while.
At the funeral, I met Jay Walker after, gosh, I don't know, 25 years? Or 30 years. I've never seen him. He's gray-haired, hasn't got the curls in the face no more. It's a little kind of thin up here, but still Jay. And
Still Jay.
now I know where he lives. And I'm going to see him again, that's for sure.
Mom, how about you?
Well, like Ernie said, Mother, it was wonderful. We lived here for all our lives practically, and I still keep in contact with some of my grammar school friends. In fact, my oldest friend, Wanda Campbell, we see quite frequently. And I don't know, we just had great parents. And it's a great time.
Grandma?
And I think it's because we stayed in one place. When you move
We have
around,
roots.
it's hard to do what you like to
Yeah.
pass on to
And we
history.
always did everything together.
Yeah, we
Family
were
that
family.
plays together stays together.
Yeah.
We always, Christmas together, Thanksgiving together, Easter's together. When we were little, it was with our only cousins, Carol and Virginia, Uncle Elmer and Aunt
Trade off
Edna.
the homes. We'd go one year one time, one place, and the next year we'd go to the next place.
So I think that,
We had a happy family, that's all. There was no bickering, no one saying, oh, if they go, I won't go. If they're gonna be there, I won't be there. And there's a lot of families that have that, and that must be sad.
Very sad.
Okay.
I think Herbie would say probably the same thing.
Oh, she sure would.
You want to kiss Grandma?
oh,
And we'll close this up.
oh, okay.
Thanks, Grandma. That was great.
Oh, you're welcome.